For many years, Alberta's prosperity flourished under the government of the day. Former Premier Ralph Klein, Provincial Treasurer Stockwell and their colleagues all fought for less spending and lower taxes. A big part of that was the single-rate income tax. Though Albertans have unfortunately laid to rest the single-rate income tax for now, the benefit that it brought to the province deserves recognition. It was simply good policy and it worked. Today, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation would like to say thank you to Stockwell for his contribution to the province of Alberta in the establishment of the single-rate income tax.
Between 1993 and 2000 or 1999, they not only had balanced the budget, which was a serious deficit, but they had paid off all of the outstanding debt.
And people forget that in that period, 1993 to 1997, at the start of that period, Ralph Klein and the rest of us said we are going to reduce government expenditures in that period by 20%. And the world is not going to come to an end, folks. Watch us.
There was now room for some tax cutting, and frankly, that's what Ralph Klein, Stockwell and their colleagues decided to do, and it was a good move and the right time.
In government, it's one thing to have an idea that you believe is going to work, but if you're all alone in the idea and you're out in front of the parade and you look around and nobody's behind you, it's not going to do much. So we felt we had to go through a legitimate public process. We had a commission that we put in place to consider the various options.
We had hearings across the province, and then we took submissions from interested parties.
And so I decided to write up something on the single tax idea.
And that committee came back with this wonderful report that said Alberta should have a single rate of tax or a flat tax.
And after that, we went directly to the people with a direct mail out, explaining in basic terms differences between a progressive tax and a single rate tax, explaining the benefits and asking people what they thought.
And actually the Alberta public at the time were open to change. Our government was noted for change, and it was a great time to be in government.
Response was in the tens of thousands, which was great for that type of a survey, overwhelmingly in favor of a single rate tax.
I know there was some nervousness in caucus apparently at the time. They were wondering if this was a radical idea, if somehow they'd be hammered for it because people wrongly thought it wasn't progressive.
So once we walked everybody through it and when they saw the feedback, and I mean we had some pretty good debates in caucus and in cabinet, but overall it was supported almost 100%. Anytime you're going to apparently put a lid on taxes, then the first pushback you get is people say, well, you're not going to have enough revenue to run the show. We didn't believe that.
But when we brought the tax in, rather than revenue going down, as any conservative will tell you, revenue went up.
And it kept investors here. It brought new capital here.
Policies, good or bad, often have unintended consequences you're not even anticipating. We didn't anticipate people actually, especially high-paying jobs, professions, actually moving to Alberta.
And I think that single rate taxes probably the single biggest economic driver for the Alberta advantage of anything that we did in the province.
The single tax was brilliant because it exempted a whole bunch of low-income Albertans from tax. At the same time, it treated other taxpayers as equals. It was none of this class division and you have to pay more because you make a little bit more.
So all of that, along with the fact we had a balanced budget so we could keep taxes down, we didn't have to pay the banks on the interest rates, it all contributed to adding to an economy that continued to flourish for a number of years.
If you look at the growth in the Alberta economy from 2000 to 2010, I have to believe that the single rate tax was a huge contributor to that.
I think the credit really goes to Ralph Klein, the Premier of the day, Stockwell the Finance Minister of the day, and their colleagues.
Back then and today, you are such a worthy recipient of this award. So congratulations. Thank you on behalf of my family, indeed on behalf of all Albertans, for all that you've done to make Alberta a better place. And indeed, you went on to the public service in Canada and made Canada a better place.
This evening, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation would like to recognize the work of Stockwell Day by presenting him with our TaxFighter Award. The CTF is a nonprofit, nonpartisan advocacy group dedicated to lower taxes, less waste, and accountable government. We recognize the achievements of exceptional men and women from all walks of life who've stood up for taxpayers. Past recipients have included media personalities Dave Rutherford, Lauren Gunter, and Tom Broadbeck, former BC civil servant Mel Smith, former Ontario Premier Mike Harris, CTF former Chairman Andy Crooks, and former Alberta Premier Ralph Klein and Provincial Treasurer Jim Dinning. To Stockwell Day, thank you for standing up for taxpayers. We are so pleased today to give you the recognition that you so deserve.